This is Wrestle Theme Reviews with Corncheck and File 91E.
Welcome everyone to another edition of Wrestle Theme Reviews. I am Corncheck.
I'm File 91E.
This week is going to be a little bit different than usual. Usually we review 3 random themes and give them a score from 1 to 10, but...
Special circumstances.
You know, we haven't actually done this for any other wrestler, but we can't think of a more fitting professional wrestler to really do this for. You may have probably heard already that Mike Shaw, aka Friar Ferguson, Norman the Lunatic, Bastion, Booger, Malcolm Singh, Aaron Grundy, man of many gimmicks, passed away over the past couple weeks since we last did our last show. So, in honor of him and all his great gimmicks, we are going to be reviewing 3 of Mike Shaw's themes on this episode.
Definitely, yeah. We're not going to do these at random. We picked out 3 of them that I think you might like, or you might remember.
At least
3 gimmicks that you might remember from his tenure in WCW and ultimately WWF.
So let's get this going with our first theme. So are we going to hit anything, or are we just going to go into it?
Well, let's just go into it.
Okay. Theme number 1 coming up.
And that was the Norman the Lunatic theme when Mike Shaw was in WCW as Norman the Lunatic. He pretty much just beat up jobbers, and that was his whole gimmick.
He had this whole... It was actually kind of funny. Like, he was managed by Teddy Long at the time, who carried like a big key around that threatened him that if he didn't listen to him, he would end up getting sent back to the nut house. That was the gimmick. It actually ended up turning him, for a while, you know, he was supposed to be heel, but it ended up turning him face. He carried teddy bears around, and it actually became a pretty over thing at the time with children that would actually send him teddy bears, and then he would take the teddy bears and send them to children's, like, hospitals and other foundations and stuff.
Pretty cool.
So, and then, unfortunately, they decided to axe the gimmick during one of the many WCW president changes and booker changes during the early 90s. And
I wonder if it was Bill Watts.
It was probably sometime during the Bill Watts era or during, all those great eras that they changed Norman the Lunatic to Norman the Maniac for a brief time, and then Norman the Trucker. And that kind of ended it. So anyway, Norman the Lunatic's theme is, supposed to be that Psycho Ward type thing.
Yeah,
it's pretty generic. You're waiting for it to do something, and it doesn't.
Yeah, that was pretty. That's pretty much it. I was when I was listening to it, like it starts out kind of cool. It's kind of all right, and then you're like, all right, let's go into something weird. Something kind of cool like a driving guitar or some big heavy drums, but
never does anything.
It kind of just sits there, just like it's just there, just like most of his gimmicks.
Yeah. Anyway, though, this
I love
theme,
you, Mike Shaw.
This theme for me is getting a 3.
I'm giving it a 3 as well. Not too
It's slightly better. It's better than a 1. I'd give it a little bit better than a 2, but that's about it.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's move on now past WCW and the Norman the Lunatic days to his early days in WWF.
Theme number 2.
And that was Friar Ferguson's second WWF theme. I didn't even know, probably most people don't know he had 2 themes during his very short tenure.
But he did.
He did.
They're all just kind of generic choir, rip-offs.
Monks themes.
But yeah, he's in here. He's in the WWE Encyclopedia. Friar Ferguson, height 6'1", 385 pounds, years active from 1990 to 1999.
A.K. what, 93?
93 for 2 weeks.
Yeah, for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, it says, after only a few weeks, Ferguson disappeared from WWE, presumably to return to a life of preaching the good word.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. It actually drew complaints, and that's one of the reasons why the gimmick was cut so short. It drew complaints from Christians and other people that
I've heard of friars that were worse than that.
I guess because not only was he a friar, but he danced.
Friars can't do that.
Apparently.
And he drank from a jug.
So they decided to nix this gimmick pretty quickly, and that meant that Mike Shaw had to kind of flounder for a while until something else came up.
Hey.
But I actually enjoy this theme because I actually like this type of music, so I'm giving it a 5.
I'll give it a 5 as well. It's pretty right there, pretty generic. It suited the gimmick very well, but it wasn't as I've heard better choir music. I've sang better choir music. That's right. I was in a choir in high school. Say some shit about it. Do it. Do it. Thanks.
So anyway, after the failure that ended up becoming Friar Ferguson, WWF got probably the most brilliant idea they've had in the last 20 years.
Yes, they did.
I'm the Booger.
And that was the infamous, the brilliant Bastion Booger theme. There it is, right there in figure form right there.
In plastic glory.
And all its amazing, amazing glory.
Yeah, that's Bastion Booger. They have him in here as well again because he's been, the man of 1,000 gimmicks. One of them, the man of 1,000 gimmicks, since he arrived in '94 and had the unique gift of making those around him physically ill. Vince McMahon once said, "Bastion Booger is the only person I know who refers to his nose as a snack dispenser." Because that was pretty much his gimmick. He used to just try to be the nastiest person ever, and he picked his nose and ate it. One time, they even mentioned in here, he grabbed an ice cream cone from a child in the audience and just ate it in one bite, and just laughing all the way to the ring and stuff. So
Yeah,
trying to be that good heel.
Yeah, it's an epic theme, and it's an epic gimmick, because it's so bad. Everything was bad about it. I mean, he was brought in. What are you going to do with this?
I was reading somewhere that he actually thought the Bastion Booger gimmick could have gotten over if booked properly.
And he also it was supposed to be more to the costume. There was actually supposed to be like a mask or helmet type thing that went along with it at one point, I heard. But unfortunately, that never came to be, so they ended up just getting what they had.
He has a giant head.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe it would have shot boogers all over the crowd. That would have been quite epic. But what's sad about all these things with Bastion Booger and Mike Shaw is he's not a terrible worker. He had some good stuff. He learned from some of the best. He wrestled in Stampede for years.
Yeah.
And, he learned to work, and he actually isn't too bad of a wrestler. Just never got a good gimmick at all, and just kind of left the business. And after Bastion Booger, I don't blame him for.
Didn't he have a? Well, I mean, this probably was his biggest gimmick, but didn't he have that thing with Bam Bam Bigelow?
Yeah, he had a brief feud with Bam Bam Bigelow. That was the only thing he did with Booger, and that is he kissed Luna Vachon. Now it's kind of odd that unfortunately all three of them have passed away, two of which Shaw and Luna have
just dying off.
We
still have Barry Horowitz.
One of the things that always amazes me, though, is not only that, but Jake Roberts is still walking around on this earth. And
I think that's just because his blood has been replaced by alcohol. And he's running on alcohol now. BP oil is running Jake Roberts.
So,
what are you giving this theme?
Oh, this theme's getting a 2. I can't give it a 1. This is getting a 2.
Yeah, I would give it a 1, but since we're honoring Mike Shaw and Bastion Booger, this theme is a 2. Honestly, again, it should have gone on to something, but apparently the theme is just it's a couple of drums and then is that what that is? It sounds like somebody's snoring.
But I think it's someone trying to get a big wad of spit or snot going.
I mean, like this?
Yeah, you do it better than I do. I'm not trained in those arts. Got that phlegm
right there. It tastes like Hershey's
white chocolate, because you just ate a bar of that before we did this.
Yeah.
So anyway, rest in peace, Mike Shaw. Your gimmicks hopefully will never be forgotten.
How can they?
I know, right?
That you can't forget that stuff. That Friar Ferguson, all of them will always be played on highlight reels or memoir reels of the old WWF during the gimmick ages.
So unfortunately, didn't get much respect in the wrestling ring as a wrestler, but the gimmicks will live on probably forever. So thank you for the memories. And that's going to wrap up this edition of Wrestle Theme Reviews. I'm Cornchak.
And I'm Fallon 91E.
I'd like to thank you for watching, and of course, hope you enjoyed.
Nobody die!